What's happening, everybody? So, I was having a bit of a text conversation with my brother-in-law the other day. By the way, what's up, Anthony? And the topic had come up, do modern cars have a soul? And is the modern car something that you can really get into these days? I mean, let's face it, we're living in an era where performance means so many different things to people nowadays. Performance to me might mean speed, power, handling, but performance can mean fuel economy, reliability, and comfort to others. So to say that a car performs well nowadays means that it does everything well. It goes fast, it stops well, it's low on general ownership cost. These types of things matter to folks, but the problem is that there's no real involvement with the car anymore, at least not in the way that it used to be, at least not in the way that it's been romanticized to be. So to say that a car doesn't have soul, it's a lot like saying that you're not as involved with your car as you used to be. See, back in the day, just getting in the car and starting it was a little bit of an adventure. And if you've never owned a carbureted car, you'll never quite ever be able to be part of the club that can understand what I'm talking about. That cold morning where you have to floor the gas pedal, let off of it, let it sit on the high idle cam, spin the starter, hope that it starts. If it doesn't, make sure you didn't flood it. By the way, it's probably, 30 degrees outside. The wind's blowing at about 20 miles an hour. You're freezing your ass off. Your coffee's getting cold. You're running late for work, and that damn thing just won't start. Okay. To say that that has a soul, I don't know if I want to call that soul, but it's definitely a personality trait. So I'm kind of going to switch the word that I'm going to use is personality now. So has that personality been engineered out of the cars? Yeah, it has, thankfully. But that's not necessarily to say that modern cars don't have personalities of their own. They're just a lot more, the personality's a lot more nice to get along with. So, although modern cars may win the Miscongeniality Award, they do kind of lack a certain involvement that folks used to have with their cars. And that's kind of leading me into a second topic on this. And the problem with modern cars, when people say they don't have a soul, what they mean is they don't have any excitement about them. The personality is pretty bland. Think, middle management type. The type that just kind of sits there and nods. I think that we need to work on synergy in this month's topics of conversation and PowerPoint. That kind of shit. That's what you get out of modern cars. Very few of them actually have personality, and they actually lend themselves more to being rather boring. Kind of like in that corporate sense. So when you look at cars, you don't really see the fire within the owner to own that type of car. Typically, they're just driving the thing because it's a general transportation appliance. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of us do have daily drivers, and some of them are beaters. And I'll tell you something, when you get yourself a really good running, very reliable beater, I know of several guys that have gone through 3 or 4 project cars, 3 or 4, they could be Challengers or Corvettes or Camaros, Mustangs, whatever, but they always had that one piece of shit Accord that they drove back and forth to work all the time. The thing always started, it always got them where they were going and back home again, always got good gas mileage, and with regular general maintenance, the thing's just never died. It's been paid off for probably 5 or 6 years in most cases. And again, it's just a beater. You take that thing to the grocery store and grandma backs her Buick into the thing, you probably won't even notice. So in that respect, yeah, that car has got a great personality, and that car has a soul. The car that you spend the most time in, the car that you rely on every single day to earn those paychecks, to pay for your project cars or your hot rods, yeah, that's kind of got a little bit of soul to it. And typically those are the cars that people get the most attached to. The problem is that, you know, in today's society, cars are traded around, you know, about every couple of years or so, it seems. And so people don't really ever get attached to vehicles like that. When you get attached to something, you tend to want to have, you know, that personal connection with it. And a lot of times guys will, you know, have a personal connection with the car, but it's fleeting. That beater that you drive around every day, though, it's funny how you never got rid of that, isn't it? I can tell you this. If modern cars do have a soul, I'm going to have to say that it takes a long time to develop. Typically, by the time a car develops that personality that you would call a soul, yeah, they've been around a while. Those cars have seen the potholes. They've seen the dents and the dings. They've had your niece or your nephew barf in the passenger seat, or, you know, the dog hair all over the inside of it. What gives that car a soul is the memories that you develop in that particular car. And a lot of times when you're talking about, you know, your project or your, you know, the car that you're working on or a car that you're passionate about, most of those guys, you know, you fuss and fiddle over every little detail. Make sure the wheels look good. Make sure that the interior is spotless. Make sure it runs really well. Keeping that oil changed. Yeah, you're kind of involved with it, but you're not really developing the type of memories that you've always had, the little things that matter, that give it that personality, that give it that soul. It just takes time. It's something that is earned, not just built in or engineered to that vehicle. So, modern cars, now they really don't have a soul, so to speak, but that personality of always being there for you, always firing up, always getting you where you need to be and getting you back home again, yeah, I'll take that over some of the personality quirks of yesteryear any day of the week. So, post up your comments. Let me know what you think about that. Let me know what kind of beater you guys are running around in too. I always love to hear those stories. You know, give you guys an example. The truck that I drive, it's a newer Dodge truck, but I've got to have something newer because it's got to be reliable and it's got to be able to, I mean, it functions as a work truck. Plus, if I'm with clients, things like that, we all got to pile into that thing, hit up happy hours, so it's got to be nice. But God, if I had my druthers, I'd be driving around an old Nissan hardbody mini truck. Anyway, post up your comments. Let me know what you've got. Adios.